Hey y'all, it's Emily with Winter and Widener's, and I just wanted to hop on here tonight and talk to you about the Disability Access Services Pass. I've shown you how to do this in the past, but Disney has changed the way they're doing some things, and so kind of want to show you again. We actually got it in October, and it was a pretty easy process to get it, and we just qualified for it now. For our trip in March. You can actually qualify for it up to 60 days out before your trip. The website says that it is good for the length of your ticket. Our tickets are begin on March 18th, and we plan to only be there 4 days for ticket days for 4 days. But actually ours is not going to expire until April 1st per the cast member that I spoke with the other day. Now, if you don't have a date-based ticket, so if you're an annual pass holder, yours will be good for 240 days before you have to renew. So pretty much every trip we go, we have to renew. Now, this was, I felt like this process was a little more almost intrusive, I felt like, this time around. There were a lot of questions. One of our biggest concerns with Witten waiting in lines is just that he makes friends with everyone. He doesn't really have a lot of stranger danger awareness about him, and so we want to make sure that he can wait in line with us and that he is not going with other people. So it just makes things easier. Because he is so high functioning, I assume at some point this is not a service we will qualify for or that we'll even need. But for right now, we do like it for those things, because even with us, he makes friends with people, and it's so easy for him to want to go with that person if they ask him to. And so we just don't want situations like that. Now, that being said, that's he's autistic, and so that was our biggest reason. That's the one thing that I always say. And then they want to know reasons why he can't wait in line, and those are ours. He's an overly social, sensory seeker, autistic child. Instead of being reserved, he likes all the interaction. He likes rides. He likes things like that. So, this time they asked me how I handle those things at like Walmart, in the grocery store, and other vacations. I've never been asked those questions before. I kind of felt like that was a lot. We have gotten this pass at Universal as well. Their system is definitely not as good as Disney's, but I'd never been asked those questions before. Now, we don't travel a lot of places besides Disney World, and we do have to be very careful about him trying to go off with, if he makes a friend, he wants to go with that friend. So we do have to be careful about that. And then the next thing they asked me was about services that he receives at school. Now, I really kind of felt like that was outside the scope of what they needed to know. He does get serviced at school, and he does have an IEP, and he does have all those things. I did not really feel like it was something that should have gone into him being accepted for the DAS pass. So those were some questions that we were asked. We were approved, and we are family 5, so we do have to have our 5th person approved. So if you are getting the DAS, you can only have 3 other people with your person who gets the DAS pass. Now, because we are immediate family, it has always been approved. That is subject to change. It may be that doesn't get approved for our next trip, but they normally have to talk to a supervisor, and then they always approve our 5th person because, like I said, it is immediate family, which I think makes a difference in that situation. Now I'm going to show you what it would look like on your My Disney Experience app. Now, mine is not showing up just yet because ours is not valid yet, but I'm going to show you where it would be. So when I click on to my Disney Experience app, now let me take you home. So when we're at the home screen here, I'm on my iPad so you can see this a little bit better. I'm going to go from my home screen to this button down at the bottom that's those 3 little lines. And I know that is so hard to see, and I'm so sorry. But you'll see that you have like My Tickets and Passes, Lightning Lane Passes, Reserve Dining, Order Food, Merchandise Checkout, and then there's this like blank spot there. That's where DAS will be. And then you can click on that and you can make your selections from there. Now, you cannot make those until the day of your park visit. In the past, we've had to be all of us in the park. Everybody has to be there. Everybody has to scan through. That is going to be included on that ride, and you can choose your first one. Now, you cannot choose another one until you, it's like a 10-minute window. Normally, that's about the time that you're ending, that first ride. And so it kind of works out. So you can kind of, as you're coming off that ride, start to choose another one. We try to make it where we're making sure those big rides, we always have a DAS for, and then he can wait in something that's a little bit smaller ride. But if it's like 60, 70 minutes, that's not something that is always feasible. So those are the things that we look for. So make sure that if you are choosing to do DAS, that you call and set that up beforehand. You cannot do that at guest services anymore inside of the park. So you do have to actually make the phone call, and they have to FaceTime, and they have to FaceTime with your person. So they have to talk to Witten, they have to take his picture, all of those things. So you need to do that. I would suggest you do that beforehand. You have 60 days to do that before your trip. I suggest that you do that within those 60 days. You can do it the day of a park day, but again, that's going to cut into your park time. Now, keep in mind that they close at 7 o'clock, and so that is 7 Eastern time. We're Central, so I have to always keep that in mind when I'm doing those things. At 6 o'clock my time, they're already closed. So you have to make sure, and sometimes it can be a longer process. I have waited hours before to get in touch with them. Sometimes I've waited 30, 45 minutes. So it can be a long process. So keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind that you must choose who's going to be in your party. Like, if Thomas doesn't want to ride something, I don't put him on there, because when we go, if he doesn't scan his magic band in, when we go to ride something else, then he's still connected to that ride. So make sure that you only choose the people that are going to actually get on that ride. And there are some things that Thomas won't ride. Like Tron, he's not going to ride that. So I don't choose him for that, because it's harder to get him off of there than it is to just not select him to begin with. We had that issue in the past, and we'd had to go to guest services to get that changed. So be cognizant of that as you are making those selections. Also remember that you can only do that like within every 10 minutes. You should still be able to ride pretty much everything that you want to ride. And remember, it is only 3 people with your person who gets the DAS, unless you have special permission from them. And like I said, we are immediate family. They're all my children, and so I would like all of my children to be on the ride with us. So they're normally pretty accommodating to things like that. I wasn't real crazy about my interview that we had this last time, just because I felt like my questions were a little invasive, which kind of surprised me, because if you didn't know, Disney World is actually, or Disney Company is actually under a lawsuit concerning DAS right now. And I felt like I felt like maybe it came from some of these things like this, because they were very intrusive questions. So it is a great thing to have if you really need it. It's normally a fairly easy process to get, but like I said, you may end up with some questions that you didn't expect to have, kind of like me. And we've done it several times. Since our trip after his diagnosis, we've always gotten DAS with him, since we know that that is something that we need and something that we can qualify for. Now, Olivia has had a physical disability in the past, and we knew we couldn't get it for that. So keep that in mind. It's normally like cognitive disabilities and not physical disabilities. When she did have to take a wheelchair to the park, so we did get some times where they would give us like return times back, just cast members just being nice, things like that. But that's not something you should ever expect to get DAS for, because she could stay in that wheelchair and she could sit that whole time. But sometimes they will give you like a time back. Cognitive and physical are different in how they are going to approve your DAS. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, please pop them in the comments. We would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear about your experience with DAS in the past, and maybe you've had it recently. Maybe you've had one of those interviews like I had. You can pop that in the comments, and we'd love to hear from you. Be sure that you hit that like button, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos, and we'll see you later. Thanks, guys. Bye.